I want to experience financial freedom, but not just because I want to. Not only building wealth for my life and my who comes after me, but all the generations that weren't able to even have this for the reasons that we know. And so it's not just for me. Right now, you talk a lot about the generational wealth. We have not had the opportunities to do this. And when we tried many times, they have been interrupted. And so it's helpful for me to remember the why and the bigger way, not just for personal reasons.
If you're new to my channel, hey, I'm Malika. After building my portfolio while raising my daughter as a single mom, I retired early at 47. And on this channel, I share my experiences to help other women achieve their own version of freedom and hopefully make smarter financial decisions without overcomplicating money. So, welcome, new friends, and welcome back to my OGs. I really enjoyed working with you and Invest with Ease, and I'm so excited to hear what has changed since the last time we were together. Can you take me back a little bit? Before we met, what was your relationship with money and your thoughts about investing?
Yeah, so before I met you, I was a good earner. I knew how to save, I knew how to budget, I knew how to manage money better. I'm not perfect, I could still do better, but I had gotten good at, okay, at least know where the funds are. I had good credit standing, all the things. I've done all the things to be financially responsible. What I didn't know how to do is multiply money. And so, but I knew how to work. I'm a good worker. I knew how to get more jobs. I knew how to, do more hours. So that was my relationship with money. I was a responsible manager of money. Now I know that was my identity. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when you thought about investing, what were you telling yourself?
Oh, yeah. So investing was risky. It was chaotic, and it was only for people who had additional resources, like if they had a trust fund or inheritance or were just well off, if they had extra money. I didn't have that extra surplus discretionary funds for investing. That's
Interesting. Let's unpack that a little bit. Where did those thoughts come from? First, tell me, what made you believe that the stock market was risky or investing was risky and chaotic?
Oh, that's easy. The media. It's every time you hear about the stock market, it was up and down and sideways and round. And I was just like, okay, you would see the ticker, but I didn't know about how the stock market worked and all the things that we learned in the program. I didn't know about the seasons, the markets. It just sounded like it was always doing something. And some people, when it was high, everybody was happy. And when it was low, everybody was sad and pulling out. And I was just like, yeah, that's not for me. That's crazy.
The media does sensationalize the stock market. But we also have to remember that the media has a job to get clicks and views.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And when you sensationalize something and make it sound exciting or scary, or, you trigger an emotion, that's what gets clicks and views.
Absolutely.
All right.
Agree. And you taught us that. So it was like, yeah, okay, understand now. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me more about the other one. What made you think investing was for people with trust funds and a lot of wealth already?
So attempting to learn about investing, this wasn't my first time. I had done it something years ago. And I remember walking into a room where nobody looked like me. It was all white males, and I don't know what their exact financial positions were, but they were talking about a whole bunch of things that were up above my head, and it seemed like everybody understood. So I assumed that all these people had money, had enough money, and had extra money. And this, whatever the language and the lingo they were using, was not something I was so, I guess, far away from. It just didn't seem like I fit.
I'm wondering, did you think they all had money because they understood, or did you think they all had money because they were of a race other than your own?
I would say both. Yeah, I would say both. I would say it seemed like everybody in the room understood what was being said, and it was going really fast. And I was trying to take down all the notes. And it also, and again, it was the race. It was like historically the race.
One thing I will say about that in terms of how you felt when you thought everyone else understood, I'm gonna tell you right now, I have been in all of those spaces.
Yeah.
Girl, they don't know any more than you do.
Understood.
They were learning just like
understood. Trying to learn. Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of, remember in Michelle Obama's book when she was talking about some of the rooms that she was in when her husband was in the White House and how she realized looking around, these people don't know what they do.
Everybody's just trying to figure it out and winging it. Yeah.
And that's what comes to mind when I think about how we are in rooms with them and we assume that they know so much more than us, or we assume that they're so much better than us. And having been in those rooms where I was learning how to do more advanced investing, I realized
Yep, everybody's basically trying to figure out the puzzle, but it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing.
You're more clueless than me. So yeah, I'm glad you shared that because I think a lot of people watching probably will relate to that and have had that type of thought.
And you're right, it does happen often. We just assume. And we also know that we tend to learn more because we have to be a little bit better. We have to know more. We have to make sure our ducks are in a row. So we often end up knowing more and then realize, oh, did nobody have to do what I did? So, So we do often hunker down and get all the knowledge and then realize that nobody else did that.
And now you're the smartest person in the room.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Sometimes, I can relate, girl. I can relate. But what finally made you, so you said you had tried it before, but what finally made you decide to learn to invest and that you really, really wanted to do it the second time around?
I met you at a time when I was already thinking about how to change the way that I worked and earned money because I had, vision and dreams of to have more freedom. I was already thinking about those things the last few years. But I remember telling you that I had gotten to a place where I couldn't figure out, I didn't have more hours, couldn't add more jobs, right? I couldn't. So I was hitting a block where I knew how to make money, manage money. I didn't know how to
only 24 hours in a day.
Correct. So those were the things that were kind of in the back of my mind. And then that's when I met you. And then when the cohort, I was like, well, I'm going to do this because I was already thinking about how to create more freedom in my life because I have plans to do some things. Yes.
How did the self-doubt feel to you once you were inside the program?
Oh, self-doubt was definitely, I think it was always there until it clicked. So I think because when you're learning, you're just gathering information. I'm kind of here to hear and understand. So I had self-doubt, or the self-doubt kind of was like, can I learn this and can I do this? But I remember you also said at the end of this program, you will be able to invest independently. And it would be literally, if you decided to, it would be happening without additional effort, with ease. So you promised us a couple of things. And so I was like, okay. And I have to say right now that all of that was true. I'm doing all the things. So, but you set it up, you set up the expectation if you go through the program and you do the things and you come to the sessions, you do the action steps, you go through the material, ask questions, you will be able to do these things. And so I think the way the program was structured and the way the coaching happened, I know that I can learn and follow a plan. And so I think it connected with a part of me that was like, oh yeah, you can learn this. Like you can learn this because there was a structure. I was able to learn at my own pace.
Mhm.
but within a timeline and a structure. And I knew at the end of the coaching program, if I did all the things, I would have this bag of knowledge or the ability to do the thing that I set out to do. So I
Mhm.
think, well, I'm sure my self-doubt lessened the more I went through the program and the more that I got knowledge. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, let me add that to my notes. And then I would ask a question, and you had such a good way of because I'm a reader and I'll read all the things. And I thought I understood something. I would ask a question and you'd be like, I can see how you're thinking. But you would ask me another question and I'd
Mhm.
be like, oh. And so then I would go back and revise my answer and then I would get it. So that process was really helpful for me because I know how I learn and it's
Mhm.
like interactive. And I thought I understood something. And you'd be like, well, I can see where you're going. But think about this.
Right?
Yeah.
You were
Mhm.
on the right path, but
Yeah.
not necessarily going in the direction that you wanted. I just
Yeah.
had to guide you
We
just a
got
little
that.
bit. So tell me, during the program, as you were learning and things were coming clear to you because of the structure and my coaching style, tell me about a moment that something actually clicked for you and what shifted once you had like that aha moment.
There were a few.
Oh.
But one that I will never forget is once I'd gone and created my investing action plan, right? And you had these questions and it was set up. I know now, like everything is set up very purposely and meticulously and intentionally. So it's going through the investment plan, answering the questions, and there was one question that I had answered about risk. You saw what I had written and you asked me a question. And what I realize now is the way that I answered that question, I was still thinking like a consumer and not an owner of assets. And that was a major shift for me. And I'll never forget the moment because I think I said to you, I was like, once I got it, I was like, I wasn't even in the right room. I wasn't in another. So, but
I do remember the conversation.
I realized I was still thinking like a consumer and not an owner, right?
Mhm.
An owner of assets. It was that moment when I remember what happened. You then just asked me another question. You raised an example and you related it to my current life experience as an owner. I'm already an owner of certain things like a car, a home, business. And you asked me a very good question and it clicked. And I was like, oh, so
Mhm.
I wasn't thinking like an owner who owned assets. I was thinking as a consumer that, okay, market can go up and down, but I wasn't thinking that I am an owner. Nobody can take this asset away from me.
I remember you were using the term losses. No
Yes,
one likes to take losses. And
right.
you were still associating your portfolio
Yeah,
with a loss.
yeah,
And that's a very normal way of thinking, but unfortunately, it's a very consumer way of thinking.
yeah,
And the example that I gave you to help shift your perspective, I think I may have associated it with your house,
yes.
right? And when I used that example, you were like,
Mind blown. I was like, oh, okay. And then I fixed my answer and did it, but it was for me, I still didn't realize, even though I had gone through all the material at that point and wrote the first draft of my investing plan. I'm like, I'm good. I know what I'm doing, and still hadn't realized my identity hadn't shifted. I remember talking about that. And that was the most powerful thing that I got from the program. One of the most powerful things. Yeah.
yes. So that was the moment your identity
Yeah,
shifted
for
from a
sure.
consumer to an owner. Oh, that's so good.
I was like, I know Malika is chuckling at me. She's just waiting on me.
It's like I saw it. I saw it
Mhm,
in you. I'm like, no,
mhm.
she got it in her. I knew I was going to get you eventually and pull
Agreed,
you over to the bright side.
agreed, agreed,
But
agreed.
I'm so glad to hear that you experienced that shift. And I think another thing I remember is once you experienced that shift, it was like a light bulb moment. And
Totally.
everything else that we did in the program, you were like, oh, I got it
Yep.
now. Oh, I
Yep.
got it.
It was literally everything, everything. But it was
Yeah.
as a result of like everything that came before that. I had the foundation. I understood the concepts. I understood my plan. I had at least the first draft. And so I went back and redid the draft and then made it final. but it was everything that came before that made me ready to shift my identity. And so thank you. Mhm.
That's so good. So good. You also built your portfolio actively in the program. You already mentioned you created your investing action plan and finalized it. So you did a lot in the
Awesome.
program during that, 12 weeks
Yes.
that we spent together.
Yes.
What did it feel like doing that for yourself? Because before the program, you didn't think you could. So what did that feel like?
Mm. In a word, amazing, and amazing for a couple of different reasons. And I'm not gonna cry.
Aw. Go ahead
But
and cry, girl. Go ahead. It's all right.
everyone that know me not be in a tear in a minute. But we asked that question, I started thinking about again, like not only just my personal vision and the thing that I want to experience in this life. I want to experience financial freedom, but not just because I want to, right? And I said this in the program at some point, because this program is for us, I am also aware of the opportunity that I have at this moment in my life and history. I practice introducing myself sometimes. I'm Salida, I wear a lot of different hats, but I am the daughter of Marietta Solomon, Charlie and Fanny, Loretha and Willie, Sally Louise and James, Ruthie and Thomas, Fanny and King Henry, his real name, and Molly and Richard. And I know the names only 5 generations back. And Molly was an enslaved ancestor. She's one of the ones that I know until she was 7. And so knowing that not only building wealth for my life and my who comes after me, but all the generations that weren't able to even have this opportunity for the reasons that we know. And so it's not just for me. Right now, you talk a lot about the generational wealth. We have not had the opportunity to do this. And when we tried many, 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 many times, they have been interrupted. And so it's helpful for me to remember the why and the bigger way, not just for personal reasons. I hope that answers the question.
It does. It does.